trash on the road. We know it's his strange form of living, but he says that it's all that he knows. Sarah stays home with the babies, takes care of them day by day. She keeps the house looking spiffy with a dining room flower bouquet. A little bit of basic handouts aren't working for us anymore. A tiny small sliver of working class change won't pay the bills like before. When you're scratching by, you ain't got the time to ponder about a tomorrow. Always in a hurry, the ongoing worries that will constantly follow. Some people will talk and others will gawk on the way that we're passing through life. I know it seems crazy, but we are just facing those problems when you're scratching by.
I really enjoyed growing up where I did. I grew up in a town called London, Kentucky, and it was just, you know, your average, just small town. And it was very cozy and very tight-knit, and I luckily had a lot of, you know, family that was around. So anytime I needed advice on, you know, music, or anytime I wanted to talk to somebody, or, you know, have to say, hey, listen to this, what I'm doing, you know, they were around. So it was actually really great, and I'm glad I'm over here in Nashville now. But growing up there was actually a great experience. I would say the first sort of vibe I ever identified with was definitely more of a blues vibe. It was more Memphis Minnie and more just old-timey, these 20s and 30s classic, you know, St. James Infirmary, stuff like that. That was sort of the first vibe that I ever identified with, just because at that point I realized, you know, I have a low voice. You know, it was hard for me to get up there and sing really, you know, mainstream pop songs. And it was never something I wanted to do. So with that being said, it was always jazz and blues. And then now that I've gotten older, I've identified more with the songwriting aspect of music than I have just the overall performance. So now I would say I'm more Americana than anything.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
What was the first time that you performed publicly on a stage?
Ooh, the first time I ever performed publicly on a stage was at a Thursday Night Live in downtown London, Kentucky. I was 6.
What did you sing? Do you remember?
Yes, and every musician hates this song now. Everybody. It's Wagon Wheel.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Every musician makes fun of that song because everybody, you know, all the drunk people at the bars are like, do Wagon Wheel. And nobody wants to do Wagon Wheel, but that's what I did.
That was your start.
That was it.
Yes.
Yes.
You had no idea that was going to brand you forever as your very first stage performance.
I know. I was so nervous, but at the same time, just so incredibly excited. But I was like, I remember being 6 and being like, what am I doing? Why did I agree to this? But in the end, it was just one song and just one 4-minute couple verses, and then I was off.
And the crowd went wild.
The crowd went mild. The crowd went mild. And I walked off, and I do remember thinking, I've got to do that again. That's not going to be the last time.
How long did it take you to do that again?
Ooh. I would say doing another actual show in that performing aspect, probably 4 years. Okay. Probably when I was 10 is when I started doing more public performances. Like that, at least.
Who drove that? Was it your mom who said, hey, let's see if we can get her to perform, you know, somewhere local? Was she driving that, or was that something that you asked to do?
It was a mixture of both. Anytime I asked my mom something musical, I was like, maybe we could try mandolin, we could try fiddle, we could try guitar. She'd be like, okay, we'll do that. You know, she's incredibly supportive. So she was always like, if you ever want to do another gig, please ask me, because we can figure something out. My aunt, she could figure out somewhere for me to go, or my mom. Even if it was just setting up a couple chairs in a living room and having some friends come over,
right,
I was going to do it.
Right.
First of the month is like Christmas. We know all the tricks and the cheats. I make sure that we have a budget for those groceries in our backseat. We've been called crazy wild wonders who won't find a job or will to get up each morning to jobs we all have and still struggle with plates we must fill. A little bit of basic handouts aren't working for us anymore. A tiny small sliver of working class change won't pay the bills like before. When you're scratching by, you ain't got the time to ponder about a tomorrow. Always in a hurry, the ongoing worries that will constantly follow. Some people will talk and others will gawk on the way that we're passing through life. I know it seems crazy, but we are just facing those problems when you're scratching by. When you're scratching by, you ain't got the time to wonder about a tomorrow. Always in a hurry, the ongoing worries that will constantly follow. Some people will talk and others will gawk on the way that we're passing through life. I know it seems crazy, but we are just facing those problems when you're scratching by.
School life was extremely tough for me, and it always will be a big part of my chapter that isn't necessarily the greatest, because that's when I really realized I had a severe anxiety problem. And it was, I guess, when I was 12, because at 12 I had been playing the guitar for 2 years at that point, because I started guitar when I was 10. And I was going into middle school. And my anxiety was getting to the point where every day I felt like it was going to be my last. And it wasn't necessarily the teachers or the kids, it was just even the walls. Just that, when you run your finger across the brick, kind of just that painted brick wall, it just was awful. The tile of the floors, I still remember, it was just, every time I was there, I literally would go and hide in bathroom stalls and just cry my entire lunch break. And I would text my mom 300 texts, no doubt, saying, please come get me or I am literally going to die. It was that kind of feeling. So at that point, my mom was like, what is going on? So we put music on hold and we got some, professional help, because I realized at that point, there was something going on. Mm-hmm. And that's when we did realize that, anxiety was going to always be a big problem, because also in the meantime, while I was doing here and there gigs, just trying to keep myself sane, I realized it was only making it worse, because it shows. I would get so sick and so just horrible feeling. It took the love and the joy out of it. So I really had to put that on hold for a while until we figured out what we could do to solve this anxiety.
Knocking on your front door, asking if you're fine, putting up the fight between what's wrong and what is right. Softly then you tell me what you need to say. You then worked up the courage to tell me face to face, honey, I am fighting a first world war. Wondering how I got here, wondering what it's for. Honey, my mind's racing Distantly, I think you miss me just as much. How long have you been like this? When did it all start? Can you trace back to the day when it all fell apart? Have you found your patience? Did your kindness bounce right back? Tell me you can't think when you've lost everything you had. Honey, you are fighting a first world war, wondering how you got here, wondering what it's for. Honey, your mind's racing, it is out of touch. Distantly, I think I miss you just as much.
And my mom always had suffered with, anxiety as well and mental health. And we kind of both at the same time realized maybe it's not going to be the worst thing in the world, and maybe there's no reason to look down upon getting mental health treatment. Because at that point, that was our problem. And that is one of the negatives of being in kind of a smaller town. There's not as much access to those kind of healthcare problems. And I trying to find quack therapists who don't really know what they're talking about. But that, after we got over that curve, they put me on a medication to help my anxiety, and I'm still on it to this day, and I'm assuming I always will be. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest platforms with my music, because at 12 is when I started writing officially. And because all of that kind of cultivated because of school and performance anxiety that I had, I started writing then. And that's when I realized my platform with music is going to be encouraging others to seek the treatment that I did, because you never know what you can come up with when you really are in the moment and your head is on right. You don't know what you can do until you figure out how to be safe first. Some people are like, do you ever feel like you're going to tell people, about your mental health struggles? I've been asked that question many times. Why do you feel like you can do it? And it's not a matter of it's not even a question to me. It's, if I had somebody that was open like this, in the early 2000s, and I had seen on TV and somebody that could talk about it, maybe I wouldn't have been so afraid for so long. Mm-hmm. And maybe my mom wouldn't have been so afraid for so long. Mm-hmm. And this is a generational thing. Mental health is not a new thing. It's not. It's just now to the point where people are not afraid to admit that, because even though there's still people who are, they're like, you're crazy if you're on an anxiety medication. No, you're not. You're actually doing the same thing, in my opinion, by getting yourself the treatment you deserve.
Do you know I still think of you time to time? Do you know I still wish that you were mine? Maybe I will see you in another life. Maybe I won't let you slide past me next time. 'Cause honey, I am fighting a first world war, wondering how I got here. Wish I could go back before all of it came crumbling, falling back down. Hopefully you'll think of me the next time around. When you wake up next to me, it's different. No more early smiles and late night talks. Just a simple yawn and how'd you sleep last night? As you're turning off the alarm clock, while we wait for coffee to be ready, I see you look at your hands as they shake. To the average Joe, you look more than fine, but you cannot hide how they tremble and ache. We've got an outsider inside this lonely house. Try to chase him with a broom, but he will not walk out. Cannot seem to recognize that he just won't go unless I make him. So I guess he's staying. While we wait for dinner to be ready, you never seem to recognize I'm there. Just don't understand why you'd act like this unless your mind has ventured off elsewhere. To burn all your sorrows into ashes, you light fires in the yard every day. I could try to ask you what's been going on, but it's not like you would tell me anyway.
I am in the process of recording my second album. So that hopefully should be out by the end of 2021. I mean, people have to keep up with me, because with everything going on in the world right now, you never know, with delays and all kinds of stuff, but it's going really, really well. There's a couple on the new upcoming album that are very emotional, and I've come to the point where I'm more comfortable with sharing more specific details. There's one on the new album called Outsider I'm very proud of, and I actually performed it with the segment. And it's just a story about a couple who is so madly in love with each other, but there's a third component to that relationship, which is either addiction or mental health problems, and you can't say goodbye to them because you have to get them through that. Because there's always a soul underneath somebody's madness. I never want to write songs that are so specific where people can't relate to them. I want people to be able to fill in the blanks.
Right.
But at the same time, there's also that guidance of my voice on these records, you know, giving you the love and support you need to either write your own stuff or go find somebody to talk to.
Right.
There's no shame in that.
Never. So if you fast forward 30 years from now,
I hope to be doing the same thing I'm doing right now, which is doing what I love, which will always be music. I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't do anything fun like that. So the only thing creative I do is write and perform. It's what I love.
We've got an outsider inside this lonely house. Try to fix him with pills, but he won't swallow them down. Cannot seem to recognize that he just won't go unless I make him. So I guess he's staying. Won't you wake up from this nightmare? I'll be right here waiting when you do. I'll clean up this mess and know you'll never see my point of view. Just keep dreaming of the future, and I know it gets better down the line. Get it in your head that healing's slow, and you're not wasting no one's time. 'Cause we've got an outsider inside this lonely house. Try to solve the puzzle, but I know beyond a doubt Guess I need to recognize that he just won't go unless I make him. So I guess he's staying unless I make him. But I guess he's staying.
If you love gypsy blues soul with us, why am I totally losing my whole line? Where's my phone? It's me.
Oh, okay.
Gypsy blues. Gypsy. You're gonna have lipstick on your white face. Oh.
Oh, she loves the camera.
Oh my gosh, I love you both. I'm gonna fall down in my shoes.
It's time to